His old ally, Margaret Thatcher, stood by his side.
I know how much we owe to you.
It took 30 years for the economic experiment originally test-driven by Pinochet to make its way around the globe to Iraq. But the similarities between past and present are startling. Between Pinochet's concentration camps and Bush's Guantanamo detention center. Between the disappeared in Chile and those in Iraq. Between the experiments of Ewan Cameron and the torture meted out on the prisoners of Abu Ghraib.
These are the days and hours.
He erased all the past. That's why he gave electroshocks. All the past from the patient, and he would implant some new ideas.
But Janine resisted. In 1988, the CIA agreed to pay compensation to Janine and other victims of Ewan Cameron's experiments.
Janine, are you proud that they tried to break you and that you have fought so hard and won?
In a way I am. In a way I am. Because I must have some willpower seeds in me. It is very, very hard to fight a government. People would tell me, Janine, you don't fight a government. What's the matter with you? They're too big. But I had faith that we would win.
It is in the nature of unregulated markets to be volatile. Bubbles are allowed to inflate, and then, inevitably, they burst. Since the deregulation of the Big Bang in the 80s, there have been a number of market shocks. In 1987, there was Black Monday. Markets fell spectacularly. It was the largest one-day percentage decline in stock market history. In 1992, there was Black Wednesday, when currency speculators made fortunes betting against the pound. In 1997, there was the Asian contagion. In 1 year, $600 billion disappeared from the stock markets of Asia. And then, in September 2008, the financial markets imploded.
The market is not functioning properly. There has been a widespread loss of confidence.
On September the 15th, Lehman Brothers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Yet only 1 week later, it was announced that workers at their New York office would share $2.5 billion in bonuses. It is estimated that Wall Street firms paid $18.4 billion in bonuses last year, the year of the crash.
Despite the torrent of populist rhetoric about taking on the fat cats and standing up for the little guy and saving Main Street, not Wall Street, we are witnessing a transfer of wealth of unfathomable size. It is a transfer of wealth from public hands, from the hands of government, collected from regular people in the form of taxes, into the hands of the wealthiest corporations and individuals in the world. Needless to say, the very individuals and corporations that created this crisis.
We are in the midst of a once-in-a-century credit tsunami. I found a flaw. I don't know how significant or permanent it is, but I've been very distressed by that fact.
In the United States, it was the financial crisis that secured Obama's victory. Americans wanted to change course.
Hello, Chicago!
This crisis is clearly understood by almost everyone as being the direct result of this particular ideology of deregulation and privatization.
The scale of the crisis offers the hope of change.
The shock doctrine as a strategy relies on us not knowing about it for it to work. And what I find most hopeful about the current economic crisis is that this tactic is getting tired, because that element of surprise is no longer there. We're on to them, and it's not working. We're becoming shock resistant.
The last time the world suffered a financial crisis as severe as this, people turned to the Keynesian policies of the New Deal.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
More than 1 million people came to Washington to hear Obama's inauguration speech. Many journalists made comparisons with FDR.
Now, there's been a lot of talk recently about comparing Obama to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So I want to talk a little bit about FDR, because there's a great FDR story, and it could be an apocryphal one, about when he would be visited by some progressive organization or a union, and they would be proposing some new progressive policy that they wanted to be part of the New Deal. And he would hear them out, and he would listen to them, and then at the end he would say, "Now go out there and make me do it." And they did. In 1937, which was a pivotal year for the New Deal, do you know how many strikes there were in this country? 4,740 strikes, lasting an average of 20 days. Do you know how many strikes there were in 2007? 21. Now, the other reason to remember this history of struggle is that it tells us something very important, something that we need to remember at this moment when so much is at stake. It teaches us that if we want responses to this economic crisis that leave us with a world that is healthier, that is more just, that is more peaceful, we are going to have to go out there and make them do it. Thank you.
Next week's exclusive new true story is Nursery University, more for Tuesday night at 10. And stay with us for the story of the rise and downfall of Enron, the smartest guys in the room.